In this video, we're going to talk about the three branches of government, but we are going to focus on the executive branch. The executive branch is the president and his cabinet. The President of the United States. The President of the United States is the head of the executive branch of the government. The executive branch enforces the laws of the United States. The President is the chief executive. The President is the commander-in-chief of the military. When the Congress wants to make a new law, it writes the law in a document called a bill. The Senate and the House of Representatives must pass the bill to approve it. Then the bill goes to the President. If the President approves it, the President signs the bill and it becomes a law. If the President doesn't approve it, the President can veto the bill and it doesn't become a law. The President lives and works in the White House. The American people elect a president for 4 years. If the president's term is 4 years, the president can serve 2 terms. We vote for president in November. The vice president works with the president. The American people elect the president and the vice president at the same time. If the president can no longer serve, the vice president becomes the president. If both the president and the vice president can no longer serve, the Speaker of the House of Representatives becomes the president. The name of the President of the United States now is Joe Biden. The name of the Vice President of the United States now is Kamala Harris. The President, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. or Joe Biden. The Vice President, Kamala Harris. And the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Patricia Pelosi. Let's go over the questions now. We elect a president for how many years? 4. In what month do we vote for president? November. What is the name of the President of the United States now? Joseph Biden. What is the name of the Vice President of the United States now? Kamala Harris. If the President can no longer serve, who becomes President? The Vice President. If both the President and the Vice President can no longer serve, who becomes President? The Speaker of the House. Who is the Commander-in-Chief of the military? The President. Who signs bills to become laws? The President. Who vetoes bills? The President. Now we are going to talk about the President's Cabinet. The President's Cabinet advises the President. The Cabinet has different positions. Now we're going to go over those positions. Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Secretary of the Interior, Secretary of Labor, Secretary of State, Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of Veteran Affairs, the Attorney General, and the Vice President. What does the President's Cabinet do? Advises the President. What are two cabinet level positions? You can use one of these. Remember, you need two to give the answer. You can say Secretary of Agriculture and Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Secretary of the Interior, Secretary of Labor, Secretary of State, Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of Veteran Affairs, Attorney General, and Vice President. And with that, we have finished the video for the civics questions.